Good Thursday morning. Last night, before going to a prayer meeting, I was talking to a friend and we were talking about spiritual battles. That we're in a spiritual battle. Both of us were talking about things happening in our lives with our families and how, even though all kinds of chaos was going on, our peace was found in talking to God on our knees through the day, also praising Him for things being as well as they are, rejoicing and singing, knowing where our help comes from. How about when I went to prayer meeting, the pastor reminded us that we are in spiritual warfare. And we have to be reminded of that because as he asked for prayer requests, most of us, our minds immediately went to the physically sick among the church family. I had a request for spiritual warfare that I just named the family. But every one of us, if we're living the life that Christ told us to live, we're in spiritual warfare. Satan is angry. He and his angels are doing their best. The prince of this world is doing all he can to cause disturbances. Excuse me, water. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. So we shouldn't be fighting each other or holding grudges or resentment or anger or jealousy or envy at one another. And as I was looking at Ephesians this morning, right after Paul talks about us living in unity and living as children of the light, he talks about relationships, husbands and wives, children and parents. And in that day, it was slaves and masters. And it was the slaves that hired themselves off for places to live, not the slaves and masters that the people took advantage of, like African Americans in my forefathers' day. This was different. But he talked, these relationships are the ones closest to you. Husbands, wives, parents, children, these slaves and masters were close to one another. Because that's where Satan is going to hit, the vulnerabilities. And so he says, finally, my brothers, be strong in the Lord. And then he tells us how, that we have to put on our whole armor. And then he tells us what our armor is. And it's what the Lord has given us, what he's blessed us with. He is the one has blessed us with the belt of truth. Because we know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And no man comes to the Father except through him. Then we live by truth. We speak the truth and we believe in the truth. And then he tells us to put on our breastplate of righteousness. We are only declared righteous in the eyes of God because we believe in who Jesus is. We know that he is the express image of God. He is God wrapped in humanity. Place that on that protects your heart. And then he tells us about the peace that we have. We're fitted with that peace. Our feet can stand firm because we know that we're not standing by ourselves. Just like the soldiers had those boots that had kind of cleats like the baseball players have, that you can stand firm. we know who our help is and where it comes from. And he goes on to tell us about our sword, that's the word, our shield of faith, that God can do anything, and prayer. Prayer is our conversation with God all day long and listening to him. That's how we are protected no matter what chaos that Jesus said in John 16:33 in this world. You're going to have some tribulations, but don't fear. I have overcome the world. So just in case you have forgotten, spiritual warfare, that's what's happening in this world today. You're like, I don't know what this world is coming to. Yes, you do. We've already been told. Now you know how to fight it. Ephesians 6, go from verse 8 to 18. I love you. God loves us. He so wants us to love one another. And God willing, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.